Okay, so I think almost half lectures खत्म हो रहा है. मैं आज 20th lecture है, right? Around 40 होते हैं, right? So we started with analytic functions. I mean, not. We have to start the analytic function. I gave you the idea of Cauchy-Riemann equations, right? Last time. So if function is differentiable at a point z is equal to z naught, it will satisfy the Cauchy-Riemann equations, right? It's a necessary condition, but not sufficient, right? And there were some extra conditions to be satisfied when it is a necessary and sufficient condition. Now, I think before starting the lecture, I think each of you got that project, right? What has to be done? Let us discuss for 2-3 minutes. So in the project, because I think, how many of you are doing project in any other classes? Are you doing project in any other classes? In your first year? Which class? Huh? Huh? Language and literature. Okay. Huh? CT में भी होने वाला. ICT. Okay. But this is math class, right? So those are a bit different. So you see, what we expect from you. So there are, first of all, there are 3 kind of output that we expect. Number 1, that you observe something in your everyday life, or it could be in any other future classes that you can think of an application. There are plenty of them, and formulate it in the form of mathematical problem, solve it using the concepts of calculus. You can use some symbolic softwares, also symbolic computing software such as MATLAB, Wolfram, Alpha, or anything to do certain things, right? Or if you are super excited or very good in programming, you can do everything from scratch also, right? I mean, not scratch programming, but I am saying that whether it is Java, Python, whatever you know, right? You can implement something and simulate something, right? So that is one thing. So basically, formulating a problem is an important aspect. How do you formulate a problem? Okay. So you will see that in the note I have said that you formulate a daily life problem, right? Then you try to solve it using mathematics of calculus. Then interpret the results in the solution in the form of daily life, right? What are the solutions that are possible? And then also a last component which I asked you to see if you can commercialize, or any startup angle can you attach to that problem. So it could be, as I mentioned, there are plenty of problems, right? Right from viral infection, corona disease, to all kind of things, image processing. You pick up any damn thing, calculus is there. I think you can again watch that lecture number 3 where I have given you some ideas, and there are some books also available if you want to get some more ideas about the applications, right? So this is something which you should look at it. So this is a very natural thing. So if you can do this, really good. But this whole process can be applied. So you are looking at a purely new problem, formulate a new problem and do it. Second thing, you can actually do a literature survey on some specific topic also. So maybe say, for example, how calculus is applied in JPG. That image that you take, the JPG standard, right? JPEG. So how that is applied there. Maybe you can create a nice video how this whole thing works in a nice, explanation, yeah, right? And of course in the writing also, right? So that is one application. So some sort of literature review on some specific topic. You can do on your own. That is really beautiful thing, right? You formulate a problem on your own. That is number 1, best thing. If not, at least do some review, right? Some nice review or something on some specific application of calculus. Okay. And then third is basically you can maybe, that is more extensive. Those who are programming lovers, they may want to write maybe 10,000 lines of code or something, at least. So you see the beauty there. So that is for programming lovers, right? How many of you are programming lovers? Okay, very good. But फिर भी ज़्यादा हाथ नहीं है, it's about 25 I guess, right? So basically बीटेक करने आए हो, फिर यही काम करना है आगे चल के, तो फिर प्रोग्रामिंग नहीं आती होगी तो कैसे करोगे, right? Or you take the other path, manager वाला role ना? So that is also there, but anyway. So that is one thing. Second thing that is very, very important. So there are certain output that we expect. I mean, you have to submit report in LaTeX. So how many of you know about LaTeX? Very good. Some people know about it. Others can learn. LaTeX is a programming language for actually writing things in mathematics. As you know, LaTeX was invented by, who invented LaTeX? Any idea? Donald Knuth, who wrote that book, Art of Computer Programming. So when he wanted to actually write the book, he saw that there is only typing you can do is in Microsoft Word, which is not really very good. So he invented on his own the whole system, and now that is very widely used. I think 65 to 70% that is used for publication now. Okay, so you need to know as a technical writing programming language. Okay, everyone, it's just one day job. You sit down one night, in the next morning you will be able to do it. Now there are two things LaTeX you can do right now. There is a very nice product available, Overleaf, overleaf.com. You just create a login and they give you some space and collaboration free, and if you want more you have to pay. But anyway, the free version is enough for you to do the project. That's not an issue. But if you don't want to go for Overleaf, you have to install the LaTeX on your Windows or Linux or you know, Mac, whatever laptop you have, and you can do that, right? So installation procedure also I have given in that note that I have given to you, right? How to install and do everything. Okay, so that is one thing. So first expected thing is source file of LaTeX, all these things, which includes any pictures, images you can create using Xfig, or you can use PowerPoint or Canva. I think some people use Canva these days, right? Anything, I mean, it doesn't matter. Some high quality pictures, or MATLAB, for example, can be used to create pictures as well, right? So any of those things you can use to create pictures. There is in LaTeX, there is you know, bibliography system which is .bib file. I don't know whether you know about it, .bib, where you can store all the bibliographic entry, like the references of any report. So that you don't have to type. Each publication house, for example, if you go to IEEE, you look at a paper, you click on the citation, so there is a whole text given. You just copy paste that thing in the text file, and that .b file will be created, and LaTeX will automatically take care of your numbering and everything. It's very nice how you can manage everything with that. Okay, so that is about, so basically all source files including PDF file. Okay, that is number one thing. Number two thing, you have to also give us PowerPoint presentation. Okay, so some sort of, now PowerPoint presentation बनाना भी नहीं आता है बहुत लोगों को, right? तो मैं यहाँ पे सब सिखा रहा हूँ तुमको, ठीक है? Report writing, PowerPoint presentation में you need to remember that less text, more pictures. But whenever you are using pictures, you have to cite it well. Okay, from where, what is the user's policy? Because till now in your class tells, you might be just preparing PowerPoints, यहाँ से copy किया, वहाँ से paste किया, चिपका दिया, right? That is not good practice. So you should know that each image that you use from anywhere, there is a user's policy of the image. Okay, so there's a copyright. Sometime author wants that you need to take special permission for them to use it. Sometime they say that you write it like this, a citation, and then you can use it. So read that policy, and then before using any picture anywhere in the document, right? If at all you can make the picture on your own, that is safer thing, right? But in some cases it is not possible, then you can use the user's policy. You read the user's policy and accordingly you use the picture. If you have to take the permission, you just take the permission from the author. Okay, so that is a PowerPoint thing. Less text, more pictures, and summarizing nicely. You may ask, what is the size of report? कितनी बड़ी लिखनी चाहिए? So I should tell you, in some cases, in previous thing, people have written even 200 pages report also. and somebody has written 50 pages, somebody has 30 pages. क्या लिख रहे हो उस पर depend करता है, right? So जिसकी जितनी श्रद्धा, okay? So I am not putting any bar to that length, okay? जिसकी जितनी श्रद्धा, accordingly you can make. Same thing with the PowerPoint. जिसकी जितनी श्रद्धा, because if you need to tell the concept nicely, you can use whatever way you want, right? So nicely you write it, okay? That's about PowerPoint presentation, okay? Now in PowerPoint, many times you have to use mathematics, but don't use symbols that are given in PowerPoint thing, because that's sometimes not very good. What you can use, there is a LaTeX equation editor. So there are some LaTeX equation editors, you can use it. For example, LaTeX IT is one of them. There are many actually available. Okay, use them to write mathematics. Say maybe equation x square plus y square is equal to z, and just drag and drop it into the PowerPoint. So that way it will be safer, right? There are some tools which directly sit on the PowerPoint, and you can actually type in the LaTeX in the PowerPoint mode also. That is also a possibility. But that is sometimes very clumsy, because then whenever you want to edit, it has to support it by the LaTeX. But sometimes the PPT goes to some other place, and then you won't be able to edit it, right? So best thing is that create the image and drag that image there, right? Okay, using LaTeX equation editor. You remember there are many. Okay, so that is one thing. Then you have to create a YouTube video. By the way, again here earlier I used to ask them to directly submit to YouTube video, and some people, वो बाज नहीं आते हैं, कॉपी पेस्ट करने से वो ब्लॉक हो जाता है उनका अकाउंट, राइट? बिकॉज यूट्यूब इज़ वेरी सीरियस अबाउट कॉपी पेस्ट, राइट? So इसलिए आई एम आस्किंग यू टू सबमिट MP4 और MPEG file format video. You can just put it on your Google Drive and give us the link in the submission page, right? You will see there is a submission page where you can do that, okay? And then if you have written a program for programming lovers who have implemented something or some source code, that has to be submitted with either GitHub link, okay, where you have developed it, or directly source code in the zip folder, right? So all the LaTeX files, source files also should be in zip folder, and the programming code is also in zip folder, right? So these are something that you need to submit, okay? And of course, if not everyone is, there is no need for everyone to write the program, but if you are writing, suppose you are writing using MATLAB and you have written some program there, so you can submit that, okay? That is there, okay? And now team size, so I have kept 5 to 6, either 5 or 6. That will, if the number is 6, I think there will be around 64 projects. It's still too much. And normally we used to do earlier single person, single project, but it's a problem for us to evaluate everything, right? So we have created this team size. Now once we create team size, there is another danger, and that danger is there will be many free riders, right? Okay, so some will say that अरे तुम कर लो ना, मेरा नाम डाल देना, मैं रेस्टोरेंट में खाना खिला दूंगा, right? This is very common. So to stop that, you have to also declare in the report what section you have contributed, or what, how much is your contribution, and also you have to mention number of hours you spent on the project. इससे मेरे को बिल्कुल क्लियर कट आइडिया लग जाता है कौन इसमें फ्री राइडर है, और मैंने बहुत बार पकड़ लिया है, हर बार पकड़ ही लेता हूँ. सो इट्स वेरी इजी, ओके? सो ईच इंडिविजुअल नाम, क्या कंट्रीब्यूशन किया, कितने आवर लगाए, टोटल आवर स्पेंड ऑन द प्रोजेक्ट, एंड एंड हाउ मच ईच वन हैज़ कंट्रीब्यूटेड, ओके? सो दैट विल गिव यू, बिकॉज अगर मान लो काम मैंने देखा प्रोजेक्ट का और 6 लोग हैं, थोड़ा सा काम किया है, ठीक है, तो समझ में आता है इसमें तो बहुत ज़्यादा फ्री राइडर्स हैं, राइट? अमाउंट ऑफ वर्क एंड द नंबर ऑफ पीपल, द साइज ऑफ द टीम, राइट, टेल्स यू एवरीथिंग. और मेरे पास 30 साल का अनुभव है यही करने का, ठीक है? सो यू कैन नॉट डू. नाउ अनदर थिंग इज दैट पीपल ट्राई टू, आजकल तो चैट जीपीटी आ गया है, ठीक है? बिलीव मी और नॉट, नाउ इफ यू लुक एट द thing generated by ChatGPT, वो पता लग जाता है कि ChatGPT is generated है. Although there is a tool which can tell you if it is generated through ChatGPT, right? So if you submit something, it will be checked for similarity index, okay, and ChatGPT generated content, right? So similarity index should be 0%. Now 0% means 0%. If it is positive, you will get F grade. ये बहुत ही strict policy है copy paste और chat GPT generation में. Now people will ask 0% कैसे आएगा? So I have told this very nice recipe for this. 0% के लिए you read everything, okay? Read everything, सब कुछ पढ़ पढ़ा करके उसको बंद कर दो, चाय का कप ले करके, लैपटॉप ले करके, पेड़ के नीचे बैठ जाओ and write. Believe me, you will get 0% automatically. If you keep a note here and then keep on looking here, there, so हमेशा वो copy paste में आ जाता है, right? Okay? So read everything and use your own words. Basically, when you write in your own words, even if something is available on the net, right, it will not come in the similarity index, right, because you are using your own words, right. So first of all, when you write, you think about it, how to introduce this problem to a common man, right. Use your own story sometime, right. So this entirely depends on your writing skills, okay. How do you write something nicely? So this is something very, very important. How do you write it nicely? If you copy paste, अभी तक आदत यही पड़ी है ना, यहाँ से कॉपी किया वहाँ चढ़ा दिया. अभी आजकल चैट जीपीटी बहुत यूज़ हो रहा है, by the way. So people will just take it, लगा दिया, right? And so that is, no, I mean, we need to know that whether you have written it or not, right? So it's very easy to catch that also. I mean, I don't require even a software. I can look at it and I can tell you whether it is, because I have data of 30 years, right? I know how at this age you can write. There are very few people, because everything is powered law, right? There are very few people who will be very good in writing also, and it can make sense, right? So, okay, so this is all about what has to be submitted, team size. Any question about projects? And there is a one submission form, Google submission form. It's easy to manage. That's the link I have provided, right? And so you submit everything. Only one person, yeah, another important thing, only one person, the group leader has to submit. If there are multiple submissions, you see problem for us. Her member submit kar raha hai, now we have to manually, delete all those things, right? So only one submission per team. If you submit more than one, you will get 0 in project. Only one person. Identify your group leader and he should submit the project on your behalf for the entire team. So there will be, I am only going to look at 64 submissions. 65 submission means somebody has submitted twice and that team is gone. ये मेरे को इसलिए करना पड़ रहा है because हम अपना टाइम बचाना चाहते हैं, right? Otherwise there is so many submissions, हर एक जना submit कर रहा है, that is not required. Only one person, group leader, right? क्या हम सेक्शन ए सेक्शन बी में मिल करके टीम बना सकते हैं? कॉमन क्वेश्चन. Yes, you can do that. I mean, there is no restriction in how to make team. 5 to 6 team, 5 to 6 people. Some will say that मैं अकेले करना चाहता हूँ, right? There might be some people मेरे को टीम में नहीं करना है. It's very, very rare, extremely rare thing. But if you still want to do this, please talk to me, and I want to know the reason why, and I have to judge whether you can do it alone or not, right? Okay, so that is also a possibility, but very rare. Because we don't want everybody to do independently, means there will be again 400 projects, right? Who is going to do that evolution? Normally, बड़ी classes में projects इसीलिए लोग नहीं देते हैं, right? But we do give because this will have a positive impact on you. You will learn many things, right? And you will also see how things are applied, right? A more realistic thing, okay? So use your brain. Don't waste your time in many other things, right? Just focus on. Time कब मिलेगा project करने के लिए? अभी शुरू हो गया आज से दिवाली तक, दिवाली में पूरा करो. और मैंने फिर भी डेडलाइन 3rd December रखी है, so you have enough time, right? But major time you can spend in your vacation, 10 days vacation ना, दीपावली, so that time you can use, okay? और आज नवरात्र से शुरू कर दो. नवरात्र तो अच्छा टाइम है शुरू करने के लिए. Start forming team, discussing and so on so forth, right? When you do team formation, make a Google Doc. I'm telling you how to do this project nicely, and take notes. पहले तो team form करने के बाद somebody is taking notes and then writing it there. How, who has contributed what. I mean, who has discussed what, किसने क्या पढ़ा and so on. Ideas. उनको note करते चलो, वो बाद में तुम्हारे काम में आएगा, right? Towards the end, how to do it, right? Any more question about 20 मिनट तो इसी में निकल गए. हाँ, any more question about projects? Any question? No? Okay, good. Enjoy करो. हाँ, तो जिसकी जितनी श्रद्धा उतना ज़्यादा काम करना है उसमें, right? Okay, so I think I have sent a couple of links yesterday, right? You should, these are pretty good ones, especially how to visualize complex valued functions and so on. So you should watch those things. Okay, so again, I am again asking you to read this book. If you, these two books have most of the stuff that we are going to do in the course. You should have this on your desk, right? By Jan Enger and Krasik. Okay, these two books are enough. The first book is not needed now. And as I mentioned, for the complex, please look at this book by Spiegel and Lipschitz, right? Sham's outline complex variables. Again, I am reinforcing you to look at this book. Okay, so I think we talked about Cauchy-Riemann equations. If function is differentiable, f of z is equal to u plus iv at z is equal to z naught. Okay, so then they satisfy Cauchy-Riemann equations. Okay, and there was a little proof here last time we did. And there was a converse is true if the, if f of z is equal to u plus iv is defined in the epsilon neighborhood of a point z equal to z naught, and Cauchy-Riemann, so partial derivative exists everywhere in that neighborhood, and if these partial derivatives are continuous function and satisfy Cauchy-Riemann equation, then the derivative exists at that point. Reverse is true if the partial derivatives are continuous. So if I ask you, give an example of a function f of z for which Cauchy-Riemann equations exist, but the function is not differentiable. So you need to look for a function for which, u and v, start with u and v and try to form for which partial derivative does not exist, and then frame the function, right? I gave it as a t time problem to you, I guess, if you remember anyway. Okay, so now if I take function f of z is equal to e raised to power z, this is nothing but e raised to power x times e raised to power iy is equal to e raised to power x cos y plus I times e raised to power x, अरे यार, cos y plus I times e raised to power x sin y. This is your u and this is your v. You can see that, you can verify Cauchy-Riemann equations are satisfied this function, right? And this is actually e raised to power z is an exponential function. I have not given you many more definitions. I will talk about those things a bit later, but at least to begin with, you can see that Cauchy-Riemann equations are satisfied here. This function is differentiable at every point actually. Now polar forms of the Cauchy-Riemann equation, if f of z is equal to u of r theta plus I times v of r theta. Okay, and your point is z naught is equal to r naught e to power I times theta naught, and suppose that u r and v theta, this time differentiation with respect to r and theta exists everywhere in the neighborhood and are continuous, the Cauchy-Riemann equation becomes r times u r is equal to v theta and u theta is equal to minus r times vr. at r naught theta naught. This is the point. And then f dash of z is given as e raised to power minus I theta ur plus I times vr. So again, I have assumed that these partial derivatives ur and v theta are continuous. Okay, then the derivative is given like this. You see, ur plus I times vr. This is the polar form of the. So Cauchy-Riemann equations are r times ur is equal to v theta, and del u over del theta is equal to minus r times del v over del r. Okay, so this is polar form. Okay, I think now verifying that a expression has, I mean, I guess let me write it down for you. Suppose f of z is equal to 1 over z, then this is nothing but 1 over r cos theta minus I times sin theta, right? Right, because z is equal to r times e raised to power I theta, e raised to power minus I theta, that becomes cos theta minus I times sin theta, right? And of course z is not equal to 0 when we are talking about this. So ur theta is equal to cos theta divided by r, and vr theta is equal to minus sin theta divided by r. Now you can see that r times ur is equal to v theta, and u theta is equal to minus r times vr. Let's verify this. And then f dash of z is equal to e raised to power minus I theta minus cos theta divided by r square plus I times sin theta divided by r square, using this formula here, ur plus I times vr, and this is nothing but minus 1 by z square. So this verification thing is very easy, right? You know, I am just verifying whether Cauchy-Riemann equations are satisfied or not, right? Just substitute and see that the Cauchy-Riemann equations are satisfied. Okay. Now comes the most important concept known as analytic function. W is equal to f of z is a function, complex valued function. So we call it as, say, maybe u plus iv form. Okay, z is equal to x plus iy. We say that function is analytic at a point z naught if function is differentiable at z naught and also in the neighborhood of it, every point in the neighborhood. Then we say that f of z is analytic at z naught if f of z is differentiable at z naught and differentiable at every point in the neighborhood of z naught. Okay. So analytic functions are really beautiful because you will see that when the function is analytic, these u and v components satisfy a beautiful differential equation. Okay, and in fact they are known as harmonic functions. Okay, so we'll talk about it in a minute, but so the definition is basically this is a stronger condition mathematically. So so it is more than differentiability. Okay, a function is differentiable at z naught means isolated differentiation. A function is analytic at z naught, not only it is differentiable at z naught but also in every point in the neighborhood. Okay, it is differentiable. So it's much more. So if a function is analytic, automatically it is differentiable at that point, and if function is differentiable, it is continuous. right? So this way it is straightforward. If a function is analytic, at a point z is equal to z naught, it is differentiable at z is equal to z naught. If it is differentiable, it is continuous, right? But the reverse is not true. So beautiful t time problem is, give an example of a complex valued continuous function which is not differentiable. Give an example of a complex valued function which is differentiable at z equal to z naught, but it is not analytic at z equal to z naught, right? Or give an example of a complex valued function which is continuous at z equal to z naught and which is not analytic. All these things are possible. The reverse you need to find. I mean, you need to provide a counter example. Okay. So this thing is clear. If the function is analytic at a point, it is much more than differentiability. Okay. It is not only differentiable at that point, but also in the point of the neighborhood. Now, if the function is analytic in the entire domain of definition, right? So f of z, say for example, sin z, or for example e raised to power z. E raised to power z is an exponential function, right? And it is clear that it is differentiable as many times that you want, right? Exponential functions are differentiable, right? So basically they are analytic so at any arbitrary point the function is analytic, e raised to power z. Okay? Because if you draw any neighborhood, it will be differentiable in not only at that point but also at every point in the neighborhood. So this is true for the entire complex plane. So such kind of function is known as entire function, which are differentiable, which are analytic everywhere in the domain. Example is this: analytic everywhere in domain. In this case, this is the entire complex plane is the domain, right, for the e raised to power z, right? So it is analytic everywhere. So it is known as entire function. So as I mentioned, analytic function at z naught will imply differentiable at z naught, will imply continuous at z naught. Reverse is not true, right? Now take a function f of z is equal to z cube plus 4 divided by z square minus 3 z square plus 1. So the question is this function analytic? Anybody in the class can tell me whether this function is analytic function? Certainly you can see that in the denominator there are certain points for which there will be a problem, right? So one is when z square is equal to 3 and the other one is when z square is equal to minus 1. So those are the points actually they call as a singular point. I mean, these are the singularities of the function, and these kind of singularities are known as poles. I will talk about it later on, in more details. These are known as poles. So when this is 0 or this is 0, the function is unbounded, right? So basically at these points function is not analytic. Otherwise it's z cube